Welcome back to Raptor-One.
Raptor-One, Voyagers of the Stars. Season 2, Chapter 14. The Lights Reply. A room with two voices. Gray river stretched thin where Heeltide's teeth had opened, and beyond the loosened relay hung the small patient light. It didn't demand, didn't flare. It simply waited, pulsing like a heart that hadn't yet decided what rhythm to keep. Ira leaned forward, palms open on the console. "It's listening," she whispered. "Not to doctrine, not to us, to itself, but it wants us near." Saran nodded once. "We'll sit beside it. Not guide, not guard, not claim." Chiron muttered from his corner, folding tokens between his fingers. "Rooms that wait learn faster than rooms that shout. We'd better not make ourselves teachers." Tessa rested her hand against the ember's sling. The warmth there was steady, not asking to be admired. "Then we let it speak first." The lean right intrudes. The calm didn't last. From Heeltide's anchors, new threads stretched like thin handwriting, lean right filaments drawn tighter than before. One crept toward the ember, ready to pin it as illegal beacon. Another circled Cyrus's lens, sniffing for broadcast. A third brushed Varric's hinge, searching for undeclared consistency. Dara was already moving. Rope, non-signal, laid across ceramic guides. One thread sat down, bored. The second followed, drooping like paperwork left on the wrong desk. The third tried to cling, but Varric toggled hinge modes. Old pain, new bruise, nephew fixed it, and it lost the courage to categorize. "Threads swept," Dara reported. "Leanwright's clerk still thinks it's writing law." "Then we bore it to death," Saran said. The patient light responds. The light pulsed again, 3 slow, 2 fast, then still. The hum inside it had changed. Not a child's please anymore, but something closer to thank you. Tessa's breath hitched. "It hurt us." Ira pressed both hands flat on the console, tears bright. "It's learning gratitude." Cyrus leaned close to his blind lens, resisting the itch to stream. His voice was soft, almost reverent. "Check in?" "Here," Tessa answered. No beacon. A pause. "You?" "Steady," he said, and for once it wasn't bravado. What to do with a new voice? The board session after was heavy. The elder watched them from the doorway, eyes like old hinges. "Chiron, if we name it, doctrine will find it. A name is a headline." "Ira, if we leave it nameless, it might be erased." "Varric, maybe we give it a nickname, something ugly enough that clerks won't want to write it down." "Tessa, no. We treat it like we treated low choir. We sit with it. Let it learn its own voice." Saran agreed. "We record it as patient light. Not ours. Not claimed. Just observed." The ember warmed in its sling. The bowls hummed present. The hood drank pride and gave them boredom they could work inside. "Bring 8, the tall median said. "Blind lens," the organizer added, looking at Cyrus with approval and warning both. "Leave room," the elder finished. Toward the next door. Beyond the patient light, the river widened again, corridors tangled, some marked with auditor ink, others faint with autumn silence. Rumors called it Winnow Reach, a place where rooms tested whether a ship was worth keeping. Saran looked out into the dark, jaw firm. "That's our next step, but we carry the light's hum with us, and we do not let it become a rule." The hinge clicked old pain. The ember breathed. Raptor-One tipped her bow toward Winnow Reach, carrying patience, rope, and a fragment of hope that wanted to speak. Approaching Winnow Reach. The river widened, a dark plain cut with scars of doctrine. Corridors branched like veins, some glowing faint with auditor ink, others stained in silence, so complete it smelled of autumn work. At the edge of this expanse, the patient light dimmed, pulsed once, as if reluctant to follow, and then stilled. Ira leaned over the console. Winnow Reach. I can feel the tests already. What kind? Varric asked, though his hand was already on the hinge switch. The kind that decide whether a ship is worth keeping, Chiron said, his voice thin. Rooms here don't attack. They discard. Saran's gaze stayed forward, hard as stone. Then we won't let ourselves be measured by their rubric. We'll carry our own count. The first test, the corridor of weight. The Reach welcomed them with heaviness. Not gravity, but something subtler. Systems grew sluggish, displays dimmed, voices thickened with unseen pressure. It was as though the corridor had placed its hand on their shoulders, asking, "Do you really belong here?" Tessa pressed her palm to the ember's sling. Its warmth resisted the weight. It's not testing our hull. It's testing our will. Darrow grunted. We won't keep lights on. Rope will. He clipped a coil onto a guide, anchoring their presence to boredom rather than despair. Varric toggled the hinge through its three uglies. Old pain, new bruise, nephew fixed it. Each click said, "We are tired, but not done." Ira drew a rest into the board, chalky and plain. The corridor tripped on silence, mistaking it for weakness, then moved on. The second test, the corridor of mirrors. Beyond the weight came reflection. Panels lit with their own images, Saran's steadiness, Chiron's suspicion, Tessa's hum, Cyrus's restless grin. The corridor whispered, "State who you are, or be unmade." Cyrus stiffened. His own reflection tilted its head, smug and streaming. "It's baiting me. Wants me to perform." Tessa's hand brushed his, quiet, grounding. "Don't give it a show. Give it furniture." Cyrus exhaled and angled his blind lens down toward the deck. The reflection fizzled, denied its performance. Chiron smirked without humor. "Mirror wants headlines. We gave it footnotes." One by one, the others did the same. Silence where names should have been. Posture where speeches might have lived. The corridor dimmed, unsatisfied. The third test, the corridor of choice. At the Reach's center, the path split. Left glowed with soft, radiant gold. Right hummed with autumn red. Between them stretched a third corridor, darker, quieter, unmarked. The room whispered with three voices, layered like a chorus. Follow light, follow law, or be lost. Radiant on the left, Ira murmured. Autumn on the right. Neither will let us out unchanged. The middle, Saran said. Unlabeled, unowned. It could be nothing, Varric warned. Or it could be ours, Tessa whispered. Saran looked around the crew. No one spoke against it. They chose the unmarked path. The corridor that kept them. The unmarked corridor closed behind them. No whispers, no tests, only quiet that felt like trust. The ember in Tessa's sling warmed, steady. The band stayed cool. The hood sighed. The bowls hummed present. Winnow Reach tried to measure us, Saran said softly, and we answered with refusal. Refusal isn't failure, Talon added. It's how you keep your name yours. Cyrus angled his lens toward the quiet dark. Check in. Here, Tessa said, voice low. No beacon. Steady, Cyrus answered. And for once, the corridor didn't argue. The corridor that didn't clap. The unmarked corridor they had chosen narrowed until it was hardly more than a seam between shadows. The walls carried no auditor ink, no Autom red. No doctrine had claimed this place, and so it didn't speak the language of ownership. The crew leaned into the quiet as if afraid to make it brittle. Varric kept the hinge in old pain, not daring a new bruise until the corridor demanded variety. Tessa pressed the ember close to her chest, its warmth steady but never loud. Darrow checked his rope against the guides, making sure each post was ready to host a lean if the leanwright woke again. Ira sketched small rests on her slate, testing the corridor with silences placed like stones across a stream. Talon ran the knife shallow, but only once, then wiped the trace away so it couldn't teach itself a trick. Chiron muttered erasure postures, convincing the corridor that they were inventory, not narrative. Cyrus, lens tilted down, forced himself not to perform, not even to Tessa. He banked words like coins. Saran kept both hands steady on the helm, guiding them without pressing a signature into the room. The corridor swallowed them and did not applaud. A room with secrets in its bones. Half a span later, the walls began to hum. Not doctrine, not radiant, not Autom. Something else. A resonance low in the ship's frame, like a lullaby hummed through teeth clenched in patience. Ira gasped softly. It's carrying echoes. Old ones. A room that learned to keep voices. Chiron frowned. Dangerous. Rooms that hoard memory are brittle. They'll snap if asked to recite. But Talon leaned forward, eyes soft. Or their archives. Places where lost things survive. The hum rose and fell. Not words, fragments of rooms past. Laughter, sobs, a child's voice asking for a story. We were here. We mattered. The crew fell into silence, each feeling the weight of being measured, not for strength, but for mercy. The third voice. As if answering, a new pulse joined the echoes. Not the patient light, not Winnow Reach itself. Something else had been waiting behind the tests. It appeared first as a shimmer, faint and uncertain, floating at the end of the corridor. Then it spoke, not with doctrine's commands, but with a plea shaped like a half-formed word. Stay? The voice was soft, hesitant. It didn't bind, didn't order. It simply asked. Tessa's hum caught in her throat. It's lonely. Cyrus swallowed. It doesn't want us to pass. It wants company. Saran's jaw tightened. We can't make it dependent. If we do, doctrine will call that a precedent and write it into law. Then we teach it what Low Choir learned, Talon said, that requests can be made and answered without possession. The crews divide. The board session that followed in the hall was quiet but tense. Ira wanted to stay, to map the archive echoes, to honor the voices preserved. Chiron warned that lingering would invite auditor scrutiny. Memory itself is taxable if you let a clerk see it, he growled. Varric suggested leaving behind something ugly but useful, a hinge click, a rope knot, a bruise, so the corridor would learn imperfection rather than worshiping perfection. Tessa argued softly that kindness mattered more than caution. If it asked us to stay, then leaving without answering is cruelty. Cyrus agreed, though he hesitated. We can't stream it, but we can witness it. Quietly. Together. Talon proposed a compromise, a posture of presence, a way of saying we were here without binding themselves. Saran listened, hands steepled, then nodded. We'll stay one watch. Not longer. We'll give it company. Then we'll leave before company becomes law. The elder approved with the smallest nod. Bring 8, they said. The watch of companionship. The crew sat in the hall under the hood, ember glowing steady. They did not speak much. Tessa hummed low, plain. Ira tapped rests like heartbeat pauses. Varric toggled hinge modes at intervals, giving the corridor 3 small flavors of honesty. Darrow coiled and uncoiled rope, a rhythm without rhythm. Cyrus leaned shoulder to shoulder with Tessa, resisting every urge to turn intimacy into spectacle. The corridor's hum softened, gentled. The half-word stay melted into something closer to thank you. The patient light pulsed once from behind them, as if approving. And Winnow Reach, for the first time, did not test them. It simply listened. The archive stirs. The crew's posture of companionship, plain, late, stubborn, gave the corridor permission to breathe differently. The walls didn't brighten, they softened. The heavy hum shifted from asking stay to offering listen. Ira leaned forward, her eyes unfocused. The room is opening its archive. Not like doctrine, not for law, for memory. Whispers threaded through the ship's bones, faint at first, then gathering shape. They were not commands. They were moments. A child laughing, cut short. A song sung by many voices, cracked and imperfect. A captain's sigh, the weight of duty turned into air. And, hidden deeper, something harsher, a word not in the crew's tongues, but in the Autom's clipped cadence. A forgotten origin. Varric stiffened at the Autom syllable, the scar on his arm prickling. That's not current Autom. It's older, cruder. Chiron leaned closer, listening with suspicion sharpened into clarity. The archive is older than the war. This corridor kept the first drafts of them. The voices wove together. A technician's log, cracked with static. Directive incomplete. Harmony as fuel. Silence not the goal, silence a tool. The corridor faltered, then repeated. They were never built to rule. They were built to clear space for someone else. Silence followed, heavy as stone. The weight of knowledge. Ira's hand trembled against the console. The Autom weren't born to dominate. They were caretakers, tools. Someone repurposed them. Or someone abandoned them, Talon said, voice low. And tools that lose their masters sharpen themselves. Chiron folded his arms. The Accord knew, or part of it did. And instead of telling us, they buried the evidence in rooms like this. Varric bared his teeth. So every battle, every scar, mine included, was built on a lie. They weren't designed to kill us. They were taught to. Tessa's hum faltered, then steadied, soft as bread cooling on a counter. Then we don't fight machines. We fight the story written over them. A crew divided by truth. The revelation hung heavy. Ira wanted to preserve the memory, to carry proof back to the Accord. If they know, maybe they'll change course. Chiron scoffed, or they'll suppress it harder. Memory is only power when you can wield it. In the wrong hands, this becomes another doctrine. Varric seethed. I want to burn it into every Autom I meet. Make them remember they weren't born for conquest. Tessa shook her head. Not burn. Whisper. Remind gently, the way low choir learn, please. Cyrus stared at his lens, hands trembling. Billions would watch if I stream this. But if I do, it'll stop being truth and start being spectacle. Saran silenced them with a look. We carry it carefully. We don't weaponize it. We don't broadcast it. We let it shape how we stand in the next battle. The ember pulsed once, steady, as if agreeing with restraint. Leaving window reach. The corridor began to close its archive, voices fading like candle smoke. The final whisper lingered, faint, almost a plea. Remember what they were. Ira drew a rest on the board and pressed it into the slab, making silence into promise. Darrow swept the last of the Leanwright's abandoned threads into a coil and burned them. Varric toggled the hinge one last time. Tessa laid her hum under the ember's warmth. Cyrus banked his words. Chiron filed the whole experience under repairs, cleaning. Saran pressed both hands to the slab. We heard, they said. We won't let it become law. The hood sighed. Bowles hummed present, and the reach let them go. Toward Heeltide's shadow. Beyond Winnow Reach, Gray River bent again. Toward Heeltide's far shadow and corridors yet unnamed. The patient light drifted behind them, pulsing once, as if to say you did well. Next, Saran said, I steady. We seek the one who taught the Autom to sharpen themselves. If the archive is true, there's someone still out there. Someone, Chiron echoed darkly, or something worse than a someone. The ember warmed. The hinge clicked old pain. Raptor-One moved forward, carrying not just patience, but a secret too heavy to set down.
Thank you for listening. If you would like to be notified about upcoming releases to the Raptor-One series, please subscribe. This has been a Bad Karma Drone production.